Hello and welcome to another tutorial where we are going to learn how to set up JDK by asking questions uh, from ChatGPT. So far we've looked at how to find the JDK, download it, install it, set it up on Mac OS, and then we also saw how to install, download and install Eclipse IDE and set up the external JDKs. We said that Eclipse has its own Java compiler, and it also comes with a full embedded JRE, which is based on OpenJDK, and we saw that you can install any JDK you want on your Mac OS and then configure Eclipse IDE. Now, Eclipse IDE is a development environment. It has all the tools necessary for you to write your source code. Eclipse will compile it for you as soon as you save your Java file, and then creates the class files. Everything, all the Java class path is configured so that you can immediately run your Java application. And we saw this example where we wrote this test class. We said that, okay, you create a Java file, put it inside the package. Eclipse automatically creates this. You can add this main method, and then once you saved, as soon as you hit save, the Eclipse compiler compiles it, puts it in the bin directory. So if you go to navigate, we saw that every project has a bin directory and a source src directory. Src where you put the source files inside the folders. All these folders are considered Java packages. Eclipse automatically puts them on the class path, and then the bin directory is a mirror version of the src. And then as you can see in the bin directory, we said that we have the class. And then once we run this, what happens, Eclipse actually, based on the JRE you choose, this is the Oracle JRE, which I've already installed it on my Mac OS, library Java Virtual Machine JDK 19. We said that you can even choose internal JRE that comes with Eclipse. And then when you run it, what actually happens is that Eclipse configures your project. All these packages are on the class path, and then it runs the JVM that comes with this JRE, and then it prints the output to the console, right? So everything is kind of automated. That's the power of the Eclipse IDE. You just focus on writing your code, and obviously you always follow the best practices, writing clean code and efficient code. But then the next step is, obviously Eclipse is not the only build tool. Every IDE uses a different build tools. If you use NetBeans IDE, IntelliJ IDE, every IDE manages your project differently. That's why, because every IDE comes with its own build tools. That's why if I have this project, this is specific to Eclipse, I cannot immediately import it in IntelliJ IDE or NetBeans. Nowadays, obviously, these IDEs are compatible. For example, if I try to import this in NetBeans, it kind of knows, or IntelliJ IDE, it knows it's a Eclipse project and knows how to convert it into an Eclipse like IntelliJ IDE project. But then the question is, how do we get rid of this behavior? And in order to do that, we can use a build tool which is universal, which is independent of any IDE, right? And the most popular and the best choice is Maven. So we want to learn about Maven, essentially how to install it. And first we have to install it. Maven is a standalone tool. You don't need to use any IDE, anything. All the modern IDEs like Eclipse IDE, NetBeans, and IntelliJ, they support Maven. Maven is integrated into them, usually as a plugin, and therefore whatever Maven project you have, regardless of which IDE you use to create that Maven project, you can import it into other projects, right? And then you don't even need to use an IDE to compile your Maven project, right? I'm not going to go into the details of the Maven because it's a separate topic that we will have a separate series of lectures. But here I just want to show you how to ask ChatGPT to install Maven. So let's go to our browser and say, how do I install Maven on Mac OS? Okay, we need to refresh this session, I believe. All right, so how do I install Maven on Mac OS? To install Maven on Mac OS, follow the steps. Download the Maven binary zip archive from Apache Maven website, and then extract the archive to your desired location. For example, to extract the archive to user local Apache Maven, run the following command. So I mean, what you download is a tar file, And tar is a tool for essentially compressing and decompressing. And then X means we want to extract, and Z means and then V means for verbose, and F means file, for example. So we want to extract this tar file and then copy it into this directory, user local. Add the Maven bin directory to your path. In the previous lecture, we talked about path, and we said that when we, for example, open a terminal and say Java, it actually searches all the directories that are on the path. So when we say Java -- version, for example, terminal or operating system doesn't know what this is, because this is not a relative path or absolute path. So what it does, it tries to search a binary in all the directories that are on the path environment variable to see if there is a binary called Java, right? And the first instance of this binary, it just runs it, right? Same with Maven, MVN hyphen version, for example. Now it tells me that I'm running Apache Maven 387. It can find it. Obviously, if you want to know where it is, which MVN, it's user local bin MVN, and this is, I believe, is a symbolic link. I use the Homebrew. And then the Maven home is here, user local seller Maven 387 libexec. So Maven home is where the bin directory is, right? So ls this one. So let me increase the font a little bit. So as you can see, libexec is where the Maven home is, and we have to add the bin to the environment variable path. Like Java home, we said that Java home, we defined the Java home environment variable, and then we add the Java home /bin to the environment to the path environment where we append that. Right? Same with Maven home. Not all programs require this, but it's customary, it's a tradition to define the Maven home. So you say export Maven home equals whatever, and then add the Maven home /bin to your path environment variable. And by default, it realizes that I'm using Java 18. It uses the path environment variable to figure out which Java is set up for my operating system, and it's Oracle, it's library Java virtual machine JDK 18, and then default local is US, OS name macOS version, and etc. Right? So I have already installed Maven. If you haven't installed it, you can follow the instructions. My recommendation is to not directly download the archive from Maven Apache website. Instead, I recommend to use a package manager. So, and on macOS, the best package manager is Homebrew. So how do I install Maven using Homebrew? And you can just ask ChatGPT how to install Homebrew on macOS. It's also very easy. So to install Maven using Homebrew, make sure that you have Homebrew installed on your system. If you don't have it installed, run the following command: bin bash -c curl https github user content.com. So first you have to run this. It pulls this git repository and installs the bin, and then update your Homebrew package repository by running the following command: install Maven by running the following. So this is important: brew install Maven. And I have already done this, so I believe the most recent version of the Maven is the one that I'm currently running. So MVN, I believe -v also works, yeah, or -- version, Apache, libexec, and obviously Maven is the tool that we need. Brew install Maven is the one, and then again you copy and paste this to your terminal to install Homebrew, and then update it, and then brew install Maven. And the beauty of package manager like Brew is that it also installs all the dependencies, and also you can upgrade it. So let's say I have already installed Maven, but it's not the latest version. I have already installed the Maven using Homebrew, but it's not the latest version. It's not the latest version. How do I upgrade it to the latest version? To upgrade Maven to latest using Homebrew, follow the steps. update your Homebrew package repository. When you do this, it automatically fetches the latest versions of all the packages. And brew upgrade Maven. Test your Maven installation. So let's see if this works. So brew, first of all, which brew? You want to make sure that brew is available, operating system can find it, and then brew hyphen version, and yeah, Homebrew 3616, Homebrew core, Homebrew cask. I have also added the cask repository. So core is just the binary packages. Cask is for GUIs. Let's say you can use cask to install a application that has a graphical interface, like Firefox, for example. If you don't want to just go to the Firefox website and download it, you can just use Homebrew cask. So cask is more like the GUI based applications. Core is more like all the binary packages. And then brew upgrade Maven. Let's see if there is any. Obviously it tries to first check. So brew update, first it updates it to make sure that it has the latest versions, and then it compares the latest versions against the version that you have already installed. So, and then after that, if it needs upgrade, then it goes ahead and pulls the latest version. It could take some time because Maven has dependencies for installation, and if you don't have those dependencies, Homebrew first installs those dependencies and then installs Maven. So this might take some time to run the update and make sure that you have everything. Now, if you want to basically install a very specific version of the Maven, you can use the @ sign, and this goes for all the packages, all the binaries when you try to install with brew. So you say the name of the package @ sign x.y.z, right? We want to use install the latest version, so we don't need to use this specific version. So replace x.y.z with the version you want to install. All right. Now we have installed Maven. How do we create a project in Eclipse IDE or any IDE? Again, you don't need to have an IDE to create Maven projects, but here, because I don't want to go into the details of Maven, I'm going to use Eclipse IDE. So you use, in the Java perspective, you go to new project, and then Maven, and then Maven project, and then create a simple project. We don't want to use the archetype. Use default workspace location, add the project to working set. I'm in this working set, I believe, or I'm actually in the ChatGPT working set. And group ID, these are just the coordinates of the Maven project. Let's say ChatGPT.demo artifact ID, ChatGPT-demo, and then version 001, jar name, just demo, and then finish. So this creates an Eclipse project, but then it also supports Maven. So J means this is an Eclipse Java project, but Maven, it means it also supports Maven. It's compatible with Maven. So a regular Java project, by default, it's not compatible with Maven. It only supports Eclipse built-in. Now, if you have a regular Java project, you can actually right-click on it and go to essentially there is a configure. So if you select a regular Java project in Eclipse and go to configure, add Gradle nature, it means it makes this project compatible with Gradle. Convert to Maven project, then it makes it compatible with Maven. Then it's easier to basically import it in other IDEs if you want to. Now let's go back to our terminal. So Homebrew, we said upgrade Maven. Okay, you have 13 outdated. Maven 387 already installed. So it checks that, it fetched the latest version of all the binaries and checked it against our Maven installation, and it said that it's already the latest version. So we don't need to do anything. Again, if you haven't installed the latest version, you can definitely use Homebrew on macOS. And the main advantage is that you can easily upgrade to the latest version or any version you want using brew upgrade. So it's very easy to use, and then you don't need to worry about configuration. And Homebrew installs all the packages, so which Maven MVN is the binary, and then MVN hyphen version. Homebrew installs all the packages in the cellar. So user local cellar is where all the packages are installed. All right, now let's go back here. I created a Maven project. There is a warning here. The first thing that we have to do, we have to configure our Maven. Now, Eclipse IDE comes by default with a Maven plugin, so an embedded Maven plugin. So you don't need to have Maven installed, but it might not be the latest version. So if I go to Preferences, Maven, and then installations, you see this is the latest version of Eclipse. It already comes with 3.8.6 embedded. So this is embedded, it's not a external installation, but I normally prefer to have use the external one. So if I select this external 3.8.5, this no longer exists because I Homebrew replaced this with 3.8.7. So I'm going to edit this, tell it go to the 3.8.7, and this is basically Maven Home, the one that we saw on the terminal. External 3.8.7, and that's it, finish. And now the warning sign goes away, and I can select this to be the default. All right, now in Maven we have the Java. We can create a test class, so let's call this test1, and we want to have main method. It's very okay, we didn't put it in a package. Let's also put it in a package. Okay, so let's create a package, tests, and then new class test1 just for demo. Again, this is very similar to Eclipse project, right? Because this is at the end of the day, this is an Eclipse Java project, but it's compatible with Maven. What this means is that obviously if I run this, as soon as I save this, Eclipse compiler compile this and puts it in the target directory. So for the Maven projects, now you see that the src main Java test, these are the Java source file, and then in the target now we have classes, and then all the packages are classable. So the main difference is that when you have a Java project which is compatible with Maven, Eclipse already knows, Eclipse compiler knows that there is no bin directory, it's the target directory, and inside the target directory there is a classes, and this classes folder will be added to the class path. And then Eclipse compiler creates the packages to mirror the packages in the src, and then compiles the Java source files and puts them in the class file. Now again, this is still Eclipse, right? But we said if I run this, this is going to work. Let's print something to the console. Let's say sysout hello world from Maven. Okay, now this is all Eclipse, but again, this project is compatible with Maven in the sense that we should be able to run the Maven tool. Now the Maven tool by itself doesn't come with any Maven tool doesn't come with any Java compiler JDK, so it relies. So if I say mbn - version, you see it relies on the JDK which is already installed on your operating system, and it uses the path environment variable, right? So what I can do on the terminal is I'm going to open a terminal right here in the root directory where the POM file is, and then you can say mvn compile. It reads the POM file, it knows all the information, Eclipse already installs that. Now we have a compilation error. The main reason is that right now I'm compiling with JDK. So yeah, another thing is that we have to fix this problem. So by default in Eclipse IDE, everything is JDK 1.5. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the POM, and in the properties, I'm going to say that maven.compiler.source. My source file, let's set it to 18. Maven.compiler.target. Target means the class file after compilation. Let's also set it to 18, because you can use different versions for your source file and the target, right, for backward compatibility. And let's open our terminal here again. I think we have a couple of terminals open. Let's terminate this, go back to Eclipse here. So if we do a ls, we say that we pom here, ambient, compile. Now build successes, because now it reads the POM file. In the POM file, we've said that it's 18. Now, in order for Eclipse IDE to also recognizes this change, you have to right click on your project, go to Maven update project. So it reads the POM file again, and I select this project that I already created, and now it becomes Java 18, right? So again, Maven doesn't use a built-in compiler. So when you on the terminal, when you say ambient compile, it actually calls the JDK, which is on your path environment variable. Inside Eclipse, you have more freedom, but I can show you that you can also do compile or run the Maven tool from within the Eclipse IDE. So Maven run as regularly for a regular Java project, you just have Java application. Now you can have Maven build. And in the build tool, you can select which Maven in installation you can use. I can use embedded, which is 386, or the external, which I already configured, which is 387. So I use the external one. And then the goal is we wanted to compile. That's it. So run. And you see that exactly the same output that you see on the terminal happens also on the console here, because it just runs the Maven tool. And then the nice thing about Maven is that you can clean, remove all the class files, install. You can install it on your local repository. I can also just tell it to package it, right? Package. And then it tries to create the jar file. So in the target, if I refresh the target now and ChatGPT, it packages it, adds the version, and if I look at inside this jar file, you see manifest is there, packages, the binaries, everything is there. So Maven is a nice tool to manage your build. It also helps with dependencies. So let's say I want to use a project, a library, right? Another Java project as a dependency. You can just open up the POM file and then go to the POM and add the coordinates of that dependency, right? I'm not going to show it here, but that's very easy to do. The purpose of this tutorial was to show you how you can quickly install ChatGPT if there's any problem, how to quickly install Maven, and if there's a problem, you can ask ChatGPT to help you. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.